we start off with the analysis segment where we're joined from Cairo by the International Relations Specialist, Dr. Mohamed Osman. Thank you so much for joining us here on Q News.
Thank you for having me, Rehan. Great to see you back.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back. Let's start off by asking Egypt's President Sisi and the Prince Hussein of Jordan both stressed the urgency of halting the Palestinian displacement. How effective do you believe Egypt's proposed reconstruction plans will be in alleviating the suffering and preventing further displacement of the Palestinian people?
Egypt's reconstruction plan basically is the last remaining lifeline that offers hope for a better tomorrow for the Palestinians of Gaza, who have been subjected to a genocidal campaign by the Israelis, backed by the United States over the past 15 months, which has caused widespread destruction and the death of tens of thousands of Palestinians. And that might be even an understatement. So when we look at the details of the main features that have come out of the reconstruction plan, it seems that it is a realistic plan that seeks to establish a roadmap to bringing life back to the Gaza Strip, making it livable once more, without displacing the Palestinians, without committing the crime of ethnic cleansing, as the Trump plan suggests, basically, which contravenes international law and specifically international humanitarian law as well as international human rights law. And I think that the Egyptian plan is garnering support from the international community and definitely will be endorsed by the entirety of the Arab world.
Well, as you said, the plan itself is a way to preserve, Palestinian life in Gaza. And the Jordan king, rather Crown Prince, reaffirmed his country's support for Egypt's Gaza reconstruction plans. How do you see Jordan's role when it comes to complementing Egypt's efforts in stabilizing the region and keeping the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and not displacing them?
Well, Egypt and Jordan, what they have in common, in addition to their position, their historical position in support of the Palestinian cause, is that they were at the receiving end or basically being targeted by the displacement schemes proposed by the United States and Israel. And so far, both of them, of course, have a vested interest in resisting and obstructing such plans and preventing them from happening. Therefore, they are taking collective action in order to prevent this. Egyptian and Jordanian efforts are coordinated. Today's visit by the Crown Prince of Jordan to Cairo and his meeting with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi demonstrated that Egypt and Jordan are united in the same position. The King of Jordan himself from Washington has declared that Jordan will endorse an Egyptian-led Arab reconstruction plan as an alternative to the American plan, basically. And this is the road that we are going, that everyone is trying to go down to, because without collective Arab action, this Trump plan could very much happen. Therefore, Egypt and Jordan are coordinating their efforts in order to create an Arab front against these sinister designs, and I think they have been so far successful in formulating a common Arab position regarding this matter. And I think it will be officially projected as a unified Arab stance on during the upcoming Arab League summit, emergency summit in the 27th of February in Cairo.
Well, as you said, this garnered, Arab support in general, the reconstruction plans and maintaining Palestinians in Gaza, and international support as well. Can we talk a bit about the ceasefire? How can Egypt and Jordan leverage their diplomatic weight to push for a credible international mechanism to ensure the sustainability of a ceasefire in Gaza?
I think that the United States, even despite the outrageous statements made by President Trump and some of some senior members of his administration, they are still interested in preserving the ceasefire in some form or the other, because they do not want the region to descend back into war, at least not at this point, or at least not before the release of the detainees. So therefore, they are interested in that, and Egypt and Jordan are taking advantage of this and trying to put forward a tangible, realistic way forward. And even Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, said that the United States is open to listening to the alternative proposals presented by the Arab world, of course, namely Egypt and Jordan, because President Trump named them both
Yes.
before, during the previous statements. So I think that through pushing for the stabilization of the ceasefire, through admitting more aid into the Gaza Strip, through ensuring that the detainee exchange goes as planned in accordance with the agreed upon schedule in the agreement and not in accordance with the fantasy schedules of the Israelis and the Americans, I think this gives the world something to work with. And the world wants to support such a scenario. We have
Yes.
seen universal condemnation by the world of the displacement plans from the Europeans, Britain, even Australia. Of course, yesterday, the African Union in its entirety, 54 states, the Arab League, of course, the Islamic world, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Russia, China, Brazil, everyone is against it. So it's only the United States and Israel in this corner. So once there is a viable alternative, I think that the world will come on board and support it. And maybe then we will have hope on the horizon.
Okay, sir, so far 245 aid trucks, including 19 fuel trucks, have entered in the Al-Auja and Karm Abu Salim border crossing today in preparation to enter the Gaza Strip. What role is Egypt playing in coordinating and facilitating aid to Gaza, and how significant is it, the contributions to sustain the humanitarian relief efforts in the Strip?
Since the beginning of the war, over 5,000 trucks entered the Gaza Strip. 70% of those trucks, at least, or the amount of aid on those trucks was Egyptian aid, worth billions of dollars. So you can imagine the magnitude, the amount of the Egyptian contribution to the aid delivery to the Gaza Strip. And also, in addition to Egypt's insistence and constant pressure to keep the aid flowing into the Gaza Strip. And one of the main provisions of the ceasefire agreement was the reopening of the Rafah border crossing, which was shuttered by the Israelis when they invaded Rafah, on the condition also that the Israelis withdraw from the Rafah border crossing and be replaced by the Palestinian authorities and European Union observers. And this is exactly what has happened. And this has also helped facilitate further aid into the Gaza Strip. And this is what is keeping the Gaza Strip livable, what is keeping the people from starving and dying out of starvation and malnutrition. And I think this is something that Egypt has been steadfastly advocating and pushing for. And I think, but still, the Israelis are still putting constraints on the amount of aid that is coming in. 245 trucks, from 200 to 300 trucks enter daily. The agreed upon amount of trucks that should enter the Gaza Strip per the agreement is 608 trucks and 50 fuel trucks. Yet the Israelis are still trying to obstruct
preventing it, yes.
Yes, because deep inside, the Israelis want to ruin this agreement and want to go back to war, and they want to find a pretext, and they nearly did that last Saturday. If it wasn't for the decisive intervention of Egypt and Qatar as the mediators to save the agreement.
So, sir, can we talk a bit about, quote, the bold vision? What details have been revealed from Trump's bold vision for Gaza's future, as discussed between Netanyahu and Rubio, especially with Rubio's first visit to Tel Aviv as the U.S. Secretary of State?
Well, I would rather describe it, if you see, and I will not choose my word carefully. It's the vision of lunacy and madness, basically. This is what the vision that Mr. Trump was presenting, unfortunately. But what I think, what we have heard out of Rubio and Netanyahu today, there was actually some discrepancy in their positions regarding that, because what Netanyahu said, we have to eradicate Hamas and destroy Hamas, and there is no other alternative. What Rubio said, Hamas cannot be in power in Gaza. And I think this is something that we can work with, because actually yesterday, an Egyptian source has revealed that Hamas, as part of a larger agreement, might be willing not to govern, might pledge not to govern the Gaza Strip. So there might be an agreement here that can make us avoid war with Hamas, agreeing, and maybe the Americans are starting to listen to common sense, basically. And if they are, this will be very disappointing for Mr. Netanyahu. However, I do not trust the Trump administration. I do not trust the American. I never even trusted the Biden administration, who allowed this genocide to go on for over 14 months. Yes. So my optimism will remain cautious, Rehab.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. From Cairo, that was International Relations Specialist Dr. Mohamed Osman. Thank you so much for joining us here on Q News.